Hello, my country people them. Today, na the 3rd of October, 2022. And we'll get a very short, brief, and very important live broadcast for Una. We will talk about 1961 to 1972, up to 1995 even, and the nostalgia where Anglophones they get them when it comes to this issue, federation, and going back in history. Thank you plenty, my country people. As you join, we share.
Hail, hail, hail the Kumkumasa. We the Cameroonians, we pledge our loyalty. Kumkumasa, Kumkumasa, you shall free our country from terror. And your blessing shall be like the stars above. The Most High God shall be your guide.
Thank you plenty, my country people them. Today, na the 3rd of October 2022. Today we will talk about the Anglophone nostalgia. But first, we need for define what to be nostalgia. Nostalgia na basically a very powerful, overwhelming feeling, a yearning for the past, to return back to the past. For a time or a period in time where you believe so things were better, or for whatever reason you want for return back to the past. Now, one of the biggest problems this way Anglophones they get them since the early 90s till date, Anglophones they want for return back into the past. Now, why do they always talk about going back into the federation for the Federal Republic of Cameroon, going back or revisiting 1961 and all of those things then. So as a result of that, Anglophones, they don't twist themselves in knots. They try for reimagine a period long gone in history. Now, why do they try for readdress the history of Cameroon? They talk about or decolonization or going back to pre-1972 period in the Cameroon history. I could talk, I know good dilly-dally for this live broadcast. I'll go back to the 1950s, the late 50s, talk up to 1972, and then a brief period up to 1995. Now, the picture where I see I'm on the screen, make I talk briefly about that picture for explain, then I will go back for history. 1995, around June 1995, this picture where I see I'm right in the middle of the picture, when I go see I'm today, now the former Prime Minister of Cameroon, Pa John Fonchadat, and then Pa Molali Tumbedat, and then you could also see Simon Monzu on that picture. Other people then like Barrister Elad, was it a barrister? And then you could get a bunch of other Anglophone people. They will come out from New York for 1995. They buy this flag for gift shop for New York. They come back for Cameroon. They can't lie to the Anglophone population, manipulate their own people. They lie for the Anglophones and say this so. The United Nations, they come back for can't open the decolonization file or some other lies, say this so they could bring them independence or whatever nonsense they will talk about. That was a deliberate lie. And I don't talk before about the difference between a lie and something where it be untruth. Something where it be untruth, it means that it no be true, but also no be lie. It means say it being a false statement, but it was not told with the sole intention for deceive people. But whereas a lie is something that is untrue, but you tell them that's so with the sole intention for mislead your people. That's the difference between a lie. So this flag was one of the biggest lie where Anglophones ever tell themselves. But also when you go back for history, now in order for me to talk about that history, I'll let this video play in the background. This video now from 22nd of September 2017, where Anglophones they be misled, misinformed, lied to, for radicalize them, for carry Chakabum Kradai guns, the fall for Bush. They begin to sing about how many people Pobia go kill and all of that nonsense for 2017, where it lead to the creation of ambassador terrorism, where it don't lead and land Anglophones them for this quagmire, where the day in today, when at the 3rd of October 2022. Now, going back to the late 1950s, you could see some Anglophone talking heads on TV and social media, they could tell when I say, Southern Cameroons, it be being a self-governing state. Make I explain which way they mean for una. They use words for bamboozle una, for make una believe, especially imagine person way he already be poorly educated. He no understand which way it mean for be a sovereign state. There's a difference between a sovereign state and a self-governing state. But they interchange those words because say at the end of the day, it get that word say state. And when I go here, for example, they could say President Paul Biya head of state for Cameroon. They interchange that word then because say at the end of the day, they use the word state. You could think say it is so, it been at the same thing. You are totally and woefully wrong. Now, when they talk say this, so Southern Cameroons, it be been a self-governing state. Make I explain something for una. Enugu for Nigeria, now also self-governing state. But Enugu is not a country. It is not a sovereign state. Okay? For America, when at the United States of America, okay? California is a self-governing state. Where it means that California na a state within the United States of America. California get its own House of Representatives, it get its own Senate, it get its own elected governor for govern the state of California. They make their own laws for California, and those laws they be different from the laws the way they make them for Texas, the laws the way they make them for New Mexico, and maybe say Florida. Each of the 50 states within the United States, they get their own House of Representatives where they elect them. They get their own, what do they call them again? Senators. They get their own House of Representatives, and Congress, they get their own elected governor. They've been a self-governing state, but they are not a sovereign state. Even the state of California, the state of Texas, the state of Delaware, Iowa, and the rest, all of those 50 states, they make up one sovereign state called the United States of America. The United States of America now a country where it get the own flag, the own national anthem, they elect their own president, and then they get their own Congress where they make their laws, and they also get international recognition. That is the key. International recognition, which means that they get diplomatic services around the world. They get the American embassies. They don't get the California embassy because California is not a sovereign state. They get around the world, they get an army where they call and say the U.S. Army, the U.S. Navy, the U.S. Air Force. They don't get a California army because California is not a sovereign state. They do not have an army. They do not have an Air Force. They do not have the armed forces because they are just a self-governing state within a country called the United States of America. I hope so now get that intricate details. But when Anglophones, they can't talk to una for TV, for social media or whatever, they use these words them interchange them, knowing fully well say una be poorly educated, una no go understand the intricate details, una no go understand say they are manipulating you guys. So now why that way they could just come blow out big grammar, talk say this so Southern Cameroons in the late 1950s, it became a self-governing state. It was not an independent country. It has never been an independent country. Even for the late 1950s, it was still a trusteeship, a trust territory where it be bound by a trusteeship agreement. And that agreement, it will be between the United Nations and the United Kingdom. At that time, Southern Cameroon was just a property of the British. A property. Make una understand that one. So when they can't use those words them now for bamboozle una, Southern Cameroon has never been a country. It no be don't ever get an elected president. It no be ever get, even if they be get an elected House of Assembly, an elected Senate, an elected governor, or elected prime minister, it does not make it a country. It is not sovereign because it no get international recognition. It no get international diplomatic services like an embassy. It no get its own passport where it be recognized internationally. It no get its own army. Okay, at that time, you be getting at the British Army, the British sovereign, where it be at the Queen of England. It rule that country through your governor, where he appoint them for go rule the Southern Cameroons inside Cameroon. And make una also understand this dynamic. Say the British, when they take this small territory, the Southern Cameroons and the Northern Cameroons, their number one objective from the beginning, now for attach them to Nigeria, just for expand their interest within the West Central African sub-region. They had no interest for develop the Cameroons, whether the Southern Cameroons or the Northern Cameroons. The British Cameroons, they had no interest for develop that territory. Now, why that way? They no build no infrastructure. They no build one single road. They no build one single university. They no build any airport. They no build nothing inside the so-called British Cameroons. The British built nothing. To the extent where when the British Cameroonians, they be complain to the British, say they need development. The British, they tell them, ho-ha. Say, no, we don't build university for Enugu, now for use them. We don't build university for Ibadan, for other areas than inside Nigeria. Now one territory, now one country. Nigeria now one country. Those facilities are for you to use. And if you look at the agreement where the British, they be get them with the United Nations, it spell them out in Article 74B. It tells them, say, the mandate where they get them, now for prepare these territories for self-governance or independence. It no be talk say and independence. It talk say or independence. So as long as we get some level of self-governance, where we fi elect una parliamentarian, una elect una governor, una elect una assembly, that is self-governance. As far as the international community be concerned, that is enough. So it no must be an outright independence. Self-governance is enough. So now one of the things that way you will hear the Anglophone Cameroonians can't blow big grammar. They try to fool when they talk about self-governance. Say it was a self-governing territory. Yes, but it was not an independent territory. Just like I don't explain it for now. Enugu, Cross River State, na state within the Federation of Nigeria. It no mean say Enugu na a country. Enugu no get the own team where they represent them for World Cup. Enugu or Cross River State for Nigeria, it no get the own army. They get now one army called the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy. Okay, now the Nigerian Armed Forces that. Enugu, Cross River State, and all of those other states them, Akwa Ibom, now just states within the Federation of Nigeria, now one country. So yes, but Cross River State, Akwa Ibom, now self-governing states within the Federation of Nigeria. So make una no ever let ourselves or allow ourselves to be bamboozled and misled. Now the 1950s that. Now, when it became time around late 1950s, 1959, 1958, when now the British, they say and say it is so, the trusteeship agreement, it will expire by the 1st of October 1961. So now they started waiting for do with the British Cameroons. At that time, the Northern Cameroons, they will be comfortable with their arrangements with Nigeria. But the Southern Cameroons, they were not. And now why they will get the Eastern regional crisis of Nigeria? When were the Anglophone parliamentarians, the way they will be elected to represent Northwest and Southwest regions in Nigerian Senate, like as I don't explain for now, the British, they will get 100% intention for attach these two small territories, the Northern British Cameroon and the Southern British Cameroon, for attach them to Nigeria. So they will rule we from Enugu. So now, but then when our forefathers, they will see the open eye, where the Igbo people, they get them from Nigeria, where they will marginalize them, they will subjugate them, dominate them, and all those things them. Our forefathers, they pack their cargo, they come out them from the Enugu House of Assembly, come them back inside Cameroon. So that was what happened in the 50s, in the mid-50s. So now, and now one of the things that now it lead to the so-called self-governing status of the Anglophone region, but it was not a country. It was just a self-governing region of Nigeria. Maybe we not understand that difference. It was a self-governing region of Nigeria, a trust territory or controlled by the British on the mandate with the trusteeship agreement with the United Nations. So it's a very complicated issue. So we need to know these small, intricate details. Now, when it don't reach time now where the British, they contemplate what to do with the former British Cameroons and the Northern Cameroons, Northern and Southern Cameroons. They see and say it is so. This territory, this particular territory, the Cameroons, it not be viable for being independent on their own. And I go explain for now why till date Anglophones, they get that inferiority complex. Now the British, they will make that assessment. Say the Cameroons, they not be viable for being independent on their own. Now why that way there was no third option? It no concern the Francophones, it no concern France. Now the British, solely the British, they decide, say this territory not be viable for being independent on their own. So we will give them only two options. Give them a plebiscite. Give them the opportunity for vote. Whether they want to join Cameroon, gain independence by joining Cameroon, already independent country, or they could get independence by joining Nigeria, another already independent country. Now, whether we want to argue whether the people then back in those days in the late 1950s, they actually want outright independence or not, it is out of the question. It does not, it not get any significance whatsoever, because at the end of the day, they had no voice. They had no impact or influence, because the British decided, as the so-called masters, they decided that you are going to join either Cameroon or Nigeria. And the United Nations accepted. So the people of the former British Southern Cameroons did not have a choice. Just like how the people of the British Southern Cameroons did not have a choice when they were colonized by the Germans. It had been in one country. And then when the British and the French, they defeat Germany for World War I, kicked them out. Or was it World War II? In the World War II, they kicked them out. Now that territory, it will be divided between the British and the French. The people of the former Southern Cameroons had no choice. They had no say in the matter. So just like when the British they decide, say when I go join Nigeria or Cameroon, the people of the former Southern Cameroons had no choice. They had no say. And now, when you look at what really happened inside Cameroon today, with this Ambazona madness and the terrorism, you go understand exactly how the British, they will arrive at that conclusion. And the British were right. Don't get me wrong. The British were 100% right. Because even since the 1950s, till today, 2022, October the 3rd, you go see and say it is so, the Anglophones are a divided people. Anglophones are a people who have no idea what they want. And a people who have no idea what they want can never be satisfied. Anglophones fight amongst themselves. They do not have a collective interest to defend. So when you get that kind of people, where their worst enemy is themselves, that kind of people, they're supposed to be ruled. They're supposed to be controlled by someone else, because they are not capable of taking care of their own affairs. And that is the assessment the British made since in the 50s. And when you look at Ambazonia terrorism today, where they get one IG, the IG don't chakarana, you get Kondengi IG, Sako IG, and then now you get the Marianta IG, where don't chakara again, you get now the Chris Anu IG versus the Marianta IG, and then on the other side, you get a Yabacho on side with Egov C, and then you get a Beneza Akwanga on side, you get Bo Herbert on, and then the whole madness, and then you get another side when at the Republic of Ambazonia. I mean, all of this division and infighting and confusion, it just reaffirmed the fact that the British were right since the 1950s. For talk say, this territory it not be viable for be independent on their own. And now you could see where the Anglophone inferiority complex comes from. Now, why that way today you hear Anglophone, they will talk say we are 8 million people. They try to inflate that number because of that inferiority complex. Because since from day one, they be denied them that third option because the British, they talk say they no be viable. And the United Nations, they agree. So now why that way they always try to make as if they get a huge population, they get a massive country, they can be, they want to prove to the international world, say this, so we can be independent on our own. We are viable. But that inferiority complex comes right from the 1950s. When were the British and the United Nations be tell them, say you are not viable, but they are not looking at the actual real reason why the international community, it be tell them, say you are not viable. Now the infighting, now the fact that when I be politically immature, when they behave like picking them, when it comes to politics, you are immature. That is why you are deemed not ready, not viable to be independent. And for 2022, Anglophones, they just prove them over and over again, say they are not competent enough and they are not ready, they are not viable. Even till today, they prove them every single day. Go for social media. You will see the infighting. This one, they cost that one. This one, they cost that one. Cameroon government, no, they even fight Wuna. Now, Wuna, so Wuna, they kill Wuna self, now they fight Wuna selves. Bui massacre na Amba versus Amba, 39 picking the kill for one afternoon, better for one whole. For Akwaya or for Manu, na Amba versus Amba, Anglophone versus Anglophone. You come now, one for Libya, exactly the same thing. I feel start for the name, now just say we not get indefinite time. For me, for start the name Amba versus Amba killings, for Guzang, for Libya, for Bui, for Wusa, a plenty. For, what do they call this one, Munyenge? You get Sokadev versus ATF. We can go on forever. So this territory, right in the 50s, the British, they deem and say it no be viable. Now, why that way they never ever give them a third option? Now, when it comes to those two options, then our forefathers made the best decision for joining Cameroon. Okay, now we'll be champion that cause. Now John Go Foncha, and then now it led us to 1961. That nostalgia. 1961 now, on the 1st of October, officially, the trusteeship agreement is ceased to exist. And at the same time, the former Southern Cameroons also ceased to exist and became West Cameroon, one of the states within the Federal Republic of Cameroon, two-state federation, East Cameroon and West Cameroon. Now, this is very crucial. Make una understand. Regardless whatever Anglophones they go talk out there for social media, for TV and everywhere else, they will also try for misinform una. West Cameroon will actually get a lot of political power. Mateuna for that federation. If una look at, I don't forget the exact article. If you go for that federal constitution, the West Cameroon House of Assembly, it will get what we call and say a veto power. Veto power now very powerful tool for get them in the political circle, in the political arena. Now make I explain something for now. The Federal Assembly of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, it will seat 50 members, 50. Out of those 50 members, 40 of them, they will come out from East Cameroon, where they're the Francophone zone. And then the other 10 members of the assembly, they will come out from West Cameroon. Okay? Now, according to the Federal Constitution of Cameroon, anything when it comes to the law of the country, it be must get the approval of the majority of the members of the West Cameroon House of Assembly in order for that bill or law to be passed and be legal. Make I explain them in simple lay terms. Now, if they will bring a proposal or a bill for debate them in the Federal Assembly, okay, just imagine, say, 50 members, they debate that bill. You get 40 of those members of the House, now Francophones. If all the 40 members of the Francophones, they vote for that bill, you only require 6. Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You only need 6 members of the West Cameroon House of Assembly for vote against that bill, and their vote is being more important, more powerful than all the other 40 Francophone members of parliament. You see the power? You see the power where Anglophones they get them for the Federal Assembly? That is a lot of power. Where means they feel cripple anything and everything in the country if Anglophones they decide. All they need now a majority of the Anglophones members of the House of the Federal Assembly. All you need is 5 or 6 of them for go against that bill, and the bill becomes nothing. It no matter if the rest of the House of Assembly they vote in favor of that bill. If you get 4 members from West Cameroon and 40 from East Cameroon, it means say 44 members of the Federal Assembly they vote in favor of that bill. Only 6 from the West Cameroon House of Assembly, it go torpedo the bill. It go send them to the bin, destroy them, dirty the bill. Because of the law, how the federal constitution it will be written. Say wait, any amendment to the law of that country, it must be accepted by the majority of West Cameroonian members of the Federal Assembly, and it must also be accepted by the majority of the East Cameroonian House of Assembly. Where it means say, as long as the Anglophone Cameroonians they get a majority in any direction, that's all you need. So it means say the Anglophone members of that Federal Assembly, they get the ultimate power for decide what goes on and what goes where in the Federal Assembly. Because the Assembly, now them being at the judiciary branch of the government, now them be charged with making the laws of the country. Now them write the laws, debate the laws, vote on the law. If the law pass, and then they go forward them on to the president. President just needs to sign them, it becomes law. Now, that is the power, the veto power, where the Anglophones they get them for the Federal Assembly. Now, because of the Anglophone inability for work together, for look at their own collective interest and protect their collective interest, they create multiple political parties. Foncha get it on, Endele get it on, Muna get it on, this one get it on. They create all those political parties now, and they start fight amongst themselves. They were not fighting for the collective interest of the Anglophones. They were fighting for their personal interest. And because they lose sight of their own collective interest, of their own similarities or which way they get in common, their own commonalities, they lose sight of that. Now, why that way? It will be easy for President Amadou Ahidjo for use them a play tabala. Politics is a game of interests. President Amadou Ahidjo get his own interest, and he use the political know-how for manipulate and bamboozle una politically. It is legal. It is legal. Now, as I don't explain that for una, the Federal House members from West Cameroon, they get the veto power. Now, una fit explain for me how it will be possible for the federal constitution to be disbanded without the assistance of the West Cameroonian members of the assembly? How is that possible? It is not. It was not possible for do away with the federal structure without the acceptance and the vote by the Anglophone, the West Cameroon members of the assembly. Now, you could get some people, they want for bamboozle una, fool una, talk all kinds of stupidity and nonsense. They will tell una, say this, so, Ayijobi do this, Ayijobi do that. So I don't even hear someone that go as far as for lie. Say, Ayijobi threaten the Anglophone federal members of the Federal House of Assembly for them for vote for dismantle the federation. Remember, these are exactly the same people where they pack their bags them, come out from Enugu, come back inside Cameroon. Okay? Now the same people that way, they don't fear the whole Nigeria. They don't fear the whole British system. Because the British, they be advised Southern Cameroons for vote for join Nigeria. Now why that way? For that Fumban conference, when they go discuss the constitution of the Federal Republic of Cameroon, France will provide advice and assistance to La République du Cameroun and Amadou Ahidjo. The British were absent. The British did not attend them, the Fumban conference. They don't get them interest because they be advised the former Southern Cameroons for join Nigeria. And the former Southern Cameroons, they deny, they tell the British, say, go to hell. So these were not people who could be easily manipulated, who could be told what to do. Okay? Now them take their foot, come out from the Enugu House of Assembly for Nigeria against the whole Nigerian state and against the wishes of the whole British Empire. Those parliamentarians, they take their foot, come out for Enugu. But now when they reach for Cameroon, mere Amadou Ahidjo, where your qualification as primary school teacher, now Amadou Ahidjo now, if he threaten the Anglophone members of the House of Assembly to do what they did not want to do. Come on, use your brains. These people, they willingly, deliberately gave up their powers to President Amadou Ahidjo. Now them disband the federal system. Make una not ever hear those lies where Anglophones they tell una. Now Anglophones, they campaign for disband the federal system. For 1972, they go out onto the field. Whether na Endele, Muna, to John Foncha, to Professor Fonlon, all of those people, they were on the field campaigning for one Cameroon. Don't forget also to say, before the 1972 referendum, for 1966, these same people, them, John Foncha, Endele Muna, and all of these Anglophone political elites, they deliberately, willingly disband their political parties for accept one party rule inside Cameroon. Yes, when I go talk saying Ahidjo to be fool them or Ahidjo to be threaten them for disband their own political parties, these people, one of the reasons, make una understand the political calculation of their time. I need to talk this one for blame some person or the other. In order for understand what was going on, you get to look at inside and outside forces of influence at that time. I don't already talk about this issue of Nigeria. If you look at Biafran War for Nigeria, start from 1967, end from 1970, it played an outside role in making them accept for disband the federalism or federal structure because they see federalism it no work next door to them for Nigeria. It played a role. But internally, one of the biggest major factor, now the fact say wait, all those political parties, the way Anglophones to be created, it will bring about serious infighting. Serious infighting where they be even try for, they be plan for assassinate each other. They don't already make attempts on each other, their lives. Serious infighting within the Anglophone political elites in 1960s, between 1961 and 1966. Only 5 years. Now, because of all that infighting way, from Foncha, Endele, Muna, they be constantly write to Yaoundé, to President Amadou Ahidjo, they beg he, say make us separate fight. They fight now every day, they quarrel and banya for house. So when it become to that level, President Amadou Ahidjo tell and say, why not just dissolve all the political parties then, and then fall under one political party, and then all we will rule under the one political party. That was a compromise. They all accepted. All of them accept. All. They accept, and they can't join one party system inside Cameroon. They dissolved their political parties from 1966. Make Anglophones, they can't tell which to say na Pobia or na Amadou Ahidjo. It make them do that one. They did that voluntarily. By 1972, they go down on the field, they campaign for dismantle the federal constitution. Anglophones did that. Make una understand that one. Referendum, it take place on the 20th of May, 1972. The vast majority of Anglophones voted for join or for make Cameroon the United Republic of Cameroon, from Federal Republic of Cameroon to the United Republic of Cameroon, a unitary state. Anglophones voted for it massively, and every single Anglophone political elite campaigned for it and voted for it. And that also explains why when that bill be tabled in the House of the Federal House of Assembly, all Anglophone MP they vote for. And that's why they were able to get the majority both in the West Cameroon House and in the East Cameroon House, where it means it was legal. Because according to the federal constitution, it must be accepted by a majority of both West and East Cameroon. That's how the federal constitution was dismantled. It was done by the Anglophones. By the Anglophones. They had the powers to stop it. They did not. Now, it's not because they lied or whatever. No. It was just a political miscalculation. What they were hoping for or banking on did not turn out to be exactly what it was. Like I don't tell you now, politics is a game of interest. And when you play a game, sometimes you get winners and sometimes you get losers. And in this particular political game where it transpired between 1960 and 1972, the Anglophones end up losers because of their own political immaturity, because of their own incompetence. They don't do political calculation. One of the things where they be supposed to do now for say, okay, maybe we write them down into law. Say this referendum, we could get now 2 referendum. That could have been an option. We could get this primary referendum, and then we could try the unitary state for maybe 10 years or 20 years. And at the end of that, we will get another referendum. If the people still want to stay as a unitary state, then it will stay. They did not put none of that clauses into the law. They just totally and completely, because of their own political interests and because of their stupidity and their incompetence, they just surrender all their power to President Amadou Ahidjo. They surrender everything to President Amadou Ahidjo. They take away all their veto power. They take away all the influence that they get them in the assembly, in their own. Imagine, say, when they make Cameroon a unitary state. At that time, Foncha be no say, at that time, he be being a prime minister of the whole of Cameroon, but he be also been a prime minister of West Cameroon or something like that. So at that time, we get 2 prime ministers. We get prime minister for East Cameroon, prime minister for West Cameroon, and then you get president for the whole country or something like that, the way the system will be run. So now, Ahidjo be say and say this so, or Foncha, he go be now a prime minister and all of those things. He see his own political positions where he go occupy them. But he not see the powers where they surrender to the central government. They take away all their veto power. They take away all the influence where they get them, the powers they had. They surrender everything to Ahidjo. And then come now, about a decade later, from 1972 to 1984 to the 1995, 2 decades later, they started talking, wow, we don't do blunder. We don't miscalculate and we fire. We mean say we misfire. And we not there for go back. Because when I be build that house, when I not put window, when I not put an exit clause. There should have been an exit clause in that referendum. And if there was one, And when you put an exit clause, in every contract where you write them, you're supposed to get terms and conditions in case the marriage no work. In case the situation is not turn out for the way you want them, there should be an exit clause. There should have been an exit clause. But they don't put them. May I give you an example of what they could have put in the constitution in the unitary state. Yes, they be accept for vote for unite as one United Republic of Cameroon. But you could have put in the constitution, you could have said to Ahidjo, for example, back then you said, President Amadou Ahidjo, listen, me, I will support you for this referendum on one condition. What is that condition? The condition is that in the law and in our campaign, we will campaign to our people that this referendum is on a trial basis only. On a 10-year trial basis or 20 years trial basis. At the end of those 10 years and at the end of those 20 years, there must be another referendum. And you get to write the words exactly as you want to make it be. No talk say there will be. No talk say there shall be. Talk say there must be. So when we say na law, when we say the state by law, it must fulfill that obligation. Say there must be another referendum that will be of these two questions that will be voted only by the Anglophone Cameroonians. And if the majority of Anglophones still agree, say they want to stay for this union, then they can stay. But there was no exit clause. There was none. You just surrender all your power. Without, when I not even cough, when I just go surrender everything, that veto power, gone. Everything, gone. House of Chiefs, House of this and that. All the positions where we will be get them, we will surrender them all to the central government. How stupid. And then when I want come, when they call una Anglophones, una the vex, that was the worst political miscalculation of the century. You give up and give away all your powers and get nothing back in return. Only because they will be fearful for our own life. And now who be the threatening una? Now Anglophone versus Anglophone. Endele be there for Foncha neck. Foncha there for Muna neck. Muna there for Endele neck. And round you go. The same thing they happen today. Ayabacho is there for Sako neck. Or na Eric Tato. Or na which other one. They there at each other's necks. They there at loggerheads. There can never be a consensus between Anglophones. Why is that? Are we a cursed people? We've been a people the way we not fit ever get which way we want because we not be united. First of all, we don't know which way we want. So even if they give we which way we need, we not will know we say we don't already get them. So now we will go fight for destroy them. Like all the beautiful schools they will get them. From Sase, Ombe, Our Lady of Lourdes, St. Beat, all of those colleges them, all of those infrastructure, University of Boya, University of Bamenda, ENS, Bambly, CAS, Kumba, CAS, Bambly, all of these institutions them. What have we done with it? Burn them to the ground. Make your territory ungovernable. When I go dig up the roads, when I kill, when I mami them, when I kidnap them for ransom, when I bury them alive. Because you are a confused people. You don't know what you want. So you can never be satisfied. And there goes exactly why the United Kingdom, if you look at these people and it talks that they are not viable to be independent, they must be ruled by other people. You will be ruled by Nigeria or you will be ruled by Cameroon because you cannot be left on your own. You cannot manage your own affairs. And since 1950s to 2022, that has not changed. My dear brothers and sisters, Anglophones, the curse we, not curse, that has not changed. We not feel work together. We not get nothing where we fit see and say this on our collective interest. This make we fight for that collective interest. We can't. Now curse. What is wrong with us? We did for assess this. Why all these lies? All the manipulation. Why? Just because we cannot work together? And then when they call we Anglophones, we na vex. You vex away. Do we not behave like fools? On the international scene, on the national scene, we take away our veto power. We dash Cameroon government. We'll go dismantle the federal structure. Come back now. 30 years later, we'll get nostalgia. We want to go back to a time that used to be. We want to go back to what used to be, to what was. But it's too late. When I build house without door, without window, lock on ourselves inside, it's called a prison. As the way the law for country be written right now, there is Anglophones have no power because they gave it up. Deliberately, willingly. And then make a touch small on this aspect. You get this thing where some person can't tell me say this, so if no be Amber, we will not forget a special status. Can you imagine? I ask you, say, so for you, the biggest achievement, and according to you, now that one na achievement, special status, right? I ask you one question, you're confused. I ask you, say, you get the special status, at what cost? Because according to you, because my explain something for now. Nobody say special status no fine. That's not the point of what I'm saying. Okay? It dey like some person they glad say it dey so it get new car. That's fantastic. It's good to buy a car. You need a car for transport, for ease your life, for make your life easier, safe, and all of those things. Then for transport goods, family members go to work, drop your kid off for school. That's fantastic. Me, I get moto, and I encourage every single person, if you afford them, for also buy moto. But when some person can't tell me, say, countryman, I get moto, that's fine. But the next question is, at what cost? How much the motor cost you? Because if you can't tell me, say, countryman, see my new motor, I buy them. And then I ask you, say, well, how much did you pay for it? He said, no, I exchanged the motor for my house. So your house, where it be worth about 100 million, you exchange them for motor, where that motor it be worth about 10 million. Is that smart? That's stupid. At what cost? Yes, when I get a special status, at what cost? But then again, it makes sense. Because the people, the way they talk that one, where they be happy about the special status and they be very, very okay with the cost where Anglophones, they don't pay for get the special status. Those people then, now the people, the way they be, the political elites, now the political class, when they talk about the special status, when I don't see the Northwest Regional House of Assembly, right? For Northwest, when I see the House of Chiefs, right? Those are the political elites. When I show me one ambassy, no white blast, where it there for that group, for House of Assembly, for Regional Assembly for Northwest or for Southwest. When I show me one ambassy, no white blast, where it then now a member of the House of Chiefs for Northwest or for Southwest. Now show me one. But now who did he die? Now who did they kill him? The people that like Madame Ayafo Florence, where did they catch Okada for go buy Jama for market? If they not buy Jama for market that day, you begin they no go chop. On your way for go buy the Jama, they catch it, they cut the neck. That one they call and say it's collateral damage. But they don't make me a president of the House of Regional House of Assembly. That's fine. That was good. Madame Ayafo had to die. That is the price you have to pay to get the House of Chiefs. At what cost? At what cost? That is the question. Yes, the special status is good. But at what cost? At the cost of the education of 60-something thousand Anglophone children? At the cost of destroying all those institutions of higher learning in the Anglophone zone? At the cost of killing 30,000 Anglophones? At the cost of displacing 2 million Anglophones? Destroying properties, destroying the CDC, PAMOL, destroying roads, destroying hospitals, burning down churches, kidnapping for ransom, drug taking, raping people, unwanted pregnancies. At what cost? The cost is too high. If I go back from 1990s or for 2015, take away one special status, put them for bin, and then give me back all those people the way they don't kill them, I will take the people. Bring back the schools, bring back education, bring back the roads, bring back the development will be there for the Anglophone zone before ambassador terrorism. It's better. At what cost is the question? At what cost? The political elites, yes, they could benefit. I remember sometimes some person begin tell me, say, some whether Joseph will be talk, say, this and that, when injustice, whatever nonsense. So one tell me, say, need John Fruit to be talk, say, if you be being a youth, you too for take gun go bush. You don't get picking them. You don't get picking them. You get picking them. How many of the political elites they are picking the day for Bush? How many? Una show me one barrister you picking with there for Bush. Una show me one person where you get high education qualification and potential in life and a job and a career where you take gun go Bush. Una show me one. But when you look at other revolutions around the world, look at South Sudan, John Garang, where he lead them to independence. He been a PhD holder. He been a professional soldier. Now he be there in the front line, on the ground. He be there for Facebook. Look at Ojukwu for Nigeria. Now professional military soldier. Where he be trained. He be lead Biafra from the ground. He gets support from France, China, Israel, and a bunch of other countries. They still lost. They surrender. They still lost. Now Biafra that. But we now also Anglophone zone na banger smokers, they can't give una independence. The poorly educated shit, no white blast for Bush. At what cost? Look at the period where they did for Bush. Maybe if they give them the so-called independence today, what will be their benefit? Nothing. So when I see and say now because of this political frustration of the political elites, like these people they want to see on the picture, they go from being Prime Minister of Cameroon to being the biggest, stupidest Anglophone liars. Where they work and carry this blue rag, where they buy them from gift shop, for come bamboozle una, they tell all these lies, manipulate una, send the most poorly educated for Bush, for go fight for their political positions. When they grant concessions from Yaoundé to the Anglophones them, they are political concessions. Those political concessions will never meet some shit no white last week come out from Bambaland. It no go ever meet up some shit no white last week come out from Manu. Or the one from Boyo or Sotland. It no go ever reach you. First of all, you know be chief for no bending corner. So House of Chiefs, you no go ever did it. Federal Assembly or whatever assembly, Regional House of Assembly, you will never be there because you no go school. On top of that, for the past 5 years, we not learn. All we not know that drug taking and banger smoking for Bush. So even if they can't give, whether not the independence or political concessions, demo, now these kind of people, they go benefit. They don't position themselves for chop flop. And then drink una blood. At what cost is the question you should ask yourself always. At what cost? So the mistakes they made in the 50s and the 60s is the reason why they had to manipulate and lie to you in the 90s. And to make matters worse, Anglophones have not learned the lessons from the 50s and the 60s. They continue to be the worst enemy of themselves, of Anglophones. Anglophones continue to fight and kill themselves. Anglophones, they seem to be a bunch of people who will never learn. And for as long as we continue to make these political miscalculations, this infighting, they consider our individual personal positions above the collective good. For as long as Anglophones continue to do that, we will forever remain Anglophones and forever be used by the political elites. Ma tell you something. The Anglophone zone can remain exactly the way it is now for the next 100 years. It no go concern no person for Yaoundé. It no go concern no whether na come to be president or whoever. Take a pick. It become president where no be Anglophone person. It no go bother ye unless it just sorry una. They need to make it see into this. Because the status quo, it benefit Yaoundé. The status quo right now as it is, it benefit na CPDM. It benefit Yaoundé. So what is the incentive for make a stop una from killing ourselves? We know very well say Una not get the capability for affect change for Yaoundé. You gave up all your power, all your political power. Okay, when I don't carry guns, no be so. You still don't have the capability for cause any harm or havoc inside Yaoundé or anywhere. Mem West region way there for day or littoral way una share border with them. You still cannot do anything. Anglophones, they like 2 picking them inside house way. That papa born na 10 picking them. Okay? Papa born 10 picking them. Each picking a get own room for big house when a 10-bedroom house. Anglophones them na 2 picking them for that house. 2 out of 10. Now, these 2 picking them, they woke up, ask, send me their papa, they buy them new shoes or whatever. Their papa no buy them the shoes, they ignore them. So what did this picking they do? They go for their own room. They broke their Game Boy. The papa is still ignored them. So what did they do? They piss for inside their cupboard for their own bedroom. Their papa continue for the ignore them. So what did they do now? They go shit on top their own bed inside their own bedroom. They piss, it is smell na for una. They shit, it is smell na for una. Now, even that bed where you shit on top, you yourself, you know if you sleep on top the bed. Now, you don't come on now. Go back your other brother in your room for sleep for day for floor. You did beg your brother a room for sleep for floor. Your own room, you know if you go for day, you know if you sleep for day because you don't piss for corner, shit on top bed. Then you did wait. Now the best one this. You did wait. Say make your papa make come up for your own bedroom. It can't clean your room for you. Move your bed, wash them, then throw away mattress, and then buy you new bed sheet, buy you new mattress. That is the situation Anglophones are going through now. When they wait for Pobia, you wait for different man for can sort your problems for you. Problem when now una create them. And all way your papa need for do for you now for ignore you. It win. Now for ignore you. Because whatever you do, you know if it affect it. For parlor, it get TV, it get your own Game Boy, it get everything for day, and you know if it destroy them. You know if it even pass to they say you go destroy them. The only access for thing where you get them for touch them, now the one the way the day inside your own bedroom, your own Game Boy, your own shoes, your own cupboard wardrobe where you're close to the inside, your own bed where you sleep on top, you piss for them, they shit on top, destroy them for make your power vex. But your power no get time. It get more important things than for do. It get 8 other picking them for take care of. It get job. It get work. It get to worry whether they don't pay rent for house. Whether motor get petrol inside. Whether on a chop flop or on a no chop flop. It get more important things than for worry about. It get for repair loans. It get fight with neighbor. Where they still fight land palaver with neighbor. Other palaver with Nigeria and Biafra, Bakasa, all kinds. It get more important things than for worry about. More important things than. Then you go shit on top of your own bed, they wait. Make poor beer, it can't clean them for you. Anglophones. Every time I talk about this thing, no, if it just make me a divex, like I be telling you, if the one thing when I want to take them out of this live broadcast, now say with it, for the Federal Assembly, French Cameroon, where it be get 40 seats for day, and West Cameroon, it will get 10 seats for the Federal Assembly. But 6 of those members for West Cameroon, it will get more power past the rest of the 40 where they come out from East Cameroon. That is the power they had. They take that power willingly, deliberately, they dash them to the Francophones. Come back a few decades later, can begin to lie with the cry. Oh, Nayijo do this. Oh, Nayijo do that. Nayijo playing at politics. No be your fault. Say you guys are incompetent and una just reinforce the thing where the British they be talk about una. Say this territory no be viable for be independent on their own. They be politically juvenile, immature. They don't know which way they want. And now make I talk about another thing. Make I digress quickly. Then I will end the live broadcast in about 2 or 3 minutes. I don't want to stay too long. When I get the people that always talk about, say, it will be now 2 states of equal status. May I ask you some basic questions? Will I be equal to the Francophones, to French Cameroon, in what way? In land size, in population, in revenue, in political influence? What way was West Cameroon politically, or in any way? How were you equal? Now, simple question why they ask you now. Now, make we even go back to the 50s and go look at the reality. The reality na sebeti. La République du Cameroun it been a trust territory under the French. By the 1st of January 1960, they get their independence. Wait, means sebeti. The French they be see and say so this territory it be viable for be independent. It get the political elites. It get some infrastructure. It get the people the way they fit take the country, draft a constitution, get an assembly. They go rule themselves. They go govern themselves. It could be independent on their own. So they give them their independence since the 1st of January 1960. And as that new country, it take independence, it match fire. It go for before. They build their constitution, their assembly, their everything. They get their foreign embassies and consular services. They get international relations. They build their national anthem. They get their flag. They get their passport. They get currency. They get everything where a sovereign state get them. Without Wuna. While West Cameroon or former Southern Cameroon, it be still being a trust territory controlled from England by the British. Cameroon would already be independent, French Cameroon. Now, when it comes to Southern Cameroons, the British, they take a look at Wuna. They talk say these people are immature. They are fighting amongst themselves. They don't even get the population. They don't get the landmass. They don't get the economic value or the economy they don't be viable for being independent. That was the assessment of the British. Wuna so-called colonial masters, when not them, they get the responsibility for prepare that territory for self-governance or independence. And in their decades of preparing that territory, their final assessment activity, you are not ready, you are not fit, you are not viable. Now, this one now an external assessment where it be made by the British and the United Nations on Wuna. And then you look at the assessment will be made by the French and the United Nations and say, French Cameroon, it be okay, viable, economically, socially, politically, okay, grant the independence, gone. So now, how equal are you to French Cameroon? What's the equal status there? On the one hand, you people are not viable to be independent. On the one hand, the other country is already independent. They remind their business, they go them. Now, when I go on the ballot, go vote for can't join them. They did not vote to join you. And when I vote for join them because when I know we get a better option, there was no third option. The only other option was Nigeria. When I go for Nigeria, no. Go for Nigeria. The only other option was Nigeria. So, who said that nonsense of equality, equal status, it come out from? Where did it come from? Say, when I be equal, in what way? When I be produced economically compared to French Cameroon, when I be get the population, the landmass, when I be get wetty, when I talk as a trust territory, Cameroon they talk as an independent sovereign state where it get a seat at the United Nations. And then when I can't begin to talk about how 2 states of equal status, massa. When sometimes when we talk now, maybe we try to be honest with ourselves. We were a tiny, inconsequential, insignificant territory as far as the British to be concerned. And the British did not invest anything in the former Southern Cameroons because they see we as an attachment to Nigeria. And that's exactly what they did. They take and dash Nigeria, just attach them to Nigeria, rule from Enugu, the eastern states. That's how we were considered. You know if you blame Francophone man for that? You cannot blame the French. It was the British. And as a matter of fact, the Francophone Cameroonians have been the most lovely, the most beautiful compatriots to live with. 1,000,000 times better than the Igbos and the Nigerians. 1,000,000 times. And when I want to talk about the political makeup of Cameroon, everything where they don't do for Cameroon, from the 1961 constitution to the abrogation of the federal constitution, it was all done legally. It was all done with the consent and the vote of the Anglophone Cameroonians. It was done with your consent. Don't lie about that. Anglophones had the veto power. They chose not to use it. How that one take concern Amadou Ahidjo? How that one take concern? If you get una powers, but you are too stupid to know the powers you have. So because you don't even know what powers you have, how can you even know how to use it when you don't even know that you have those powers? So una surrender all those powers to the central government. By 1966, una dissolve una own political parties. Them Foncha dissolve your own. Muna and then all the una dissolve una political parties for form one party system inside Cameroon. No man no force una. 1972, una come go on the ground, go campaign for una people that say me they vote for a unitary state, for dissolve the federal system. No man no force una. And then when it comes to the actual vote, una get the veto power for stop the whole thing. Una no stop them. Una vote in favor of it. Give away una power, dismantle the federation. And then cash it on now. A few decades later, una see this, the political miscalculation. Una don't calculate wrong. Then una misfire. And then now una come back. Instead for enter back in the political arena. For address those issues them. For cajole other people them. Get people on your side. For support your agenda. No. Una resort to lies. Absolute and pure lies. And this is just one of the lies. From person where it go from being the prime minister of the country to the biggest liar of the Anglophones, John Foncha. Now in that, now in this from middle here so, where they carry this flag, they stand on the bridge, on the Mungo. They talk to the come up for United Nations. Now United Nations don't give them this flag. All those lies started way back then. When I saw this, I don't digress and I continue to talk. I get a very large mouth and I go finish with how they talk. All those lies, they started since in the 1980s. The manipulation. Up to 1995, they continue the lies. They manipulate. All of these things, they don't seep into the consciousness and the subconsciousness of the Anglophone population. It don't rile them up. It don't manipulate them. It don't make them angry at the wrong thing, at the wrong people. Okay? So when it don't culminate to 2017, where the Anglophones, they now finally pick up Chaka from Kradai going to fall for Bush, make una no ever believes it is so, it would take a minute or a miracle for wipe all that manipulation, lies, and all that manipulation and fake news and all of those things. Then it will not happen by magic. It will also take a process. These people, they don't learn all these lies and they believe all these lies. They've been told a lot of lies. They need to unlearn these lies and they need to be retaught the truth and the reality. And this is the process. It is a process. If you go back to the 80s, to the 90s and the early 2000s, there were no people like myself, my country people them, on the social media and the media at large for the give all these kind of explanations and education to the public. They did not exist. So now we are here. And this is the job we're doing. And this re-education of our people will take a process. It will take a while for re-educate the Anglophones them about the truth and the reality of their country and for bring them back into a level where this nonsense called ambassador terrorism will end. Now, why do I tell when I say no magic button and not there for end ambassador terrorism? They don't be radicalized for more than 30 years. At the very least, we will need 10 years for re-educate them about the truth and re-expose them to the reality. And so far, it don't only been about 5 years. So we are just on the halfway point. Make una understand now why that way right from the beginning. I no lie for una tell una say na Operation Chukuchuku. We no get no magic button. Na small, 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 small. And some people cannot be taught. Some people the way they no fit unlearn some things where they don't learn them. Yes, it not be possible. So not go out there believing or thinking say this so you go fit convince every single Anglophone Cameroonian for understand the truth and the reality and for see into your own now lie. Now why that way they talk even for politics. Now majority they carry the vote. They not talk say 100%. Men for your house, where you marry your woman, you charity up, they deny you, cause you say you mob the smell, all kind of thing. You so there for your back, you charity up, so they finally agree. A4. Then you carry Mimbo for head. They go for some bush village where you don't even get road. For go pay bright price for your head. Carry fowl, carry all your family to go. For go meet your pa where you don't even like your pastor. You don't like your uncle at all. You go pay money for your head, because you like that guy, no be so. You don't marry that guy there for your house, no. When I don't born maybe 1 or 2 picking no. Go for that your same house. Go give vote. For every decision where you want to take make be democratic. See whether anything will ever be done. Même the decision, ma talk say, only the decision say, when I want chop na weti today, give them, maybe say 3 options, say we would either chop ekwang, or achu, or watafufu. Those 3 options, you will see and say, so you are picking day where it will come in now with achu, and it no go ever come off that angle. The other one, you own na that ekwang, and it go die now for that ekwang. Maybe your woman, you own na that watafufu. All them get their own opinion. You hear me no? You no go ever get 100% consensus. Now lie. Now why did they talk say? Now majority. That time you better talk say, okay, 2 people, they say achu. The other one talk say ekwang. The other one talk say watafufu. Then it means say 2 people, they don't win. We go cook na achu. That's how you do it. You do na majority. You need to go for democratic process. You expect for get 100% consensus. It no go ever happen. Even inside your own house. Just you are picking and your woman. It no go happen. So that is it. So some people the day way over a period of time, in those 10 years, they go don't die and they make way. Or you go help for convince someone then, and someone then you don't go feel convince them. For as long as you convince the majority, you win. That's it. And then the minority, they go must follow whatever the majority decide. That is how democracy works. Democracy is not about getting 100% consensus. Democracy is just about getting the majority to support your agenda. So you don't need 100%. You don't even need 80%. You don't even need 60%. All where you need for support your agenda for you for win. Now 50 plus. If you get 50 plus 1, 51% done. That's all you need. Majority. And when that majority vote you, you will be president for all them. So that 2 people, the way they vote for that achu, no be so. All man go chop achu. Whether you like na ekwang or you like na watafufu, majority don't decide say na achu no. All man go chop achu that day. That is it. So you don't get for the worry about convincing every person. Now what I talk say, no waste time they try for dialogue or for negotiate with armed terrorists, especially when you know say this so they first of all being at people the way they no go ever change their mind or their mentality. So ignore them. Focus on the ones then where you fit change their mentality, you fit change their minds. Focus on those ones then, and then change their minds, change their mentalities, and then you will make them easier for you for win your agenda because you don't need 100%. All where you need now 50 plus. That's all you need. Okay? So that's how democracy works. No waste too much time. They go on, they talk to people or worry about things in way it no go improve your political agenda. So Anglophones them when I need for learn politics, when I need for understand how the world it work. And I why that way when I go make all that noise. Probably I only need for ignore una, it win. Today now the 3rd of October 2022, my country people them thank una plenty for listening to my live broadcast. I hope say as una share also for WhatsApp, for YouTube, for Twitter, when share in all the groups, them for Facebook groups and everywhere as well. When I match fire for share them, whether you watch them later or you watch them live, when I match fire for share them, make it go far and wide, my country people them. I love all Wuna, and like I did talk. If I know it, now say when I know if you understand, maybe this one could be a topic for next time. Maybe this one could be a topic for next time. I love Cameroon. If I know love Cameroon, I know for the year they do what I do. I live in England. I become for Cameroon decades and decades ago. Just this 2022, I don't take up for Cameroon more than twice. And I know how much just my flight for Cameroon, just my flight alone last time it cost me about 2 million francs because I fly business. And then I don't come Cameroon. I've been there for Cameroon for October last year. We did for October 2022. And since that, I've been there for Cameroon for October 2021. I've been there for Cameroon for February 2022. I've been there for Cameroon for July, August 2022. 3 times since the last 12 months. And before this year, I go and finish, I go there Cameroon again. That's how much I love Cameroon. I said before this 2022 go and finish, I go either chop Christmas inside Cameroon. Yes, I come back for at the Axoman. Maybe serve the next 2-3 days, I go there Cameroon again at the Axoman. When I get some small time, it be free for work. Yes, I work, I get career. Now why that way I feel gallivanт all over the world. I fly, go everywhere. Because I work, I know Tifam. Okay? So when I will see me again, I will be on the ground for Cameroon, for can enjoy my achu, ekwang, bongo chobi, soya, burning fish, autumn, plum, mango, pineapple, pear, the rest, I go there on the ground because I love Pays. Now my country, the bury my Nintong today. And I love my people. But some of these people, they need for be compromised in order for the rest and the majority of we forget peace, tranquility, and harmony. Thank you, plenty, when I don't count, when I don't share, and everything else. I need to talk about these things then because I hate my people. I love my people. Absolutely, I love every single Anglophone Cameroonian. But because of the political situation on the ground, what can I do? The reality in Asawati, the picking away they don't carry guns, they talk to the one for make that territory ungovernable. There is no remedy. They have to be compromised. They have to be compromised. And I will do it for you. If I don't want to do it for ourselves, I'll do it. I'll do it because I love you that much. Thank you, I gain plenty in my country with them.
Hail, hail, hail the Kumkumasa. We the Cameroonians, we pledge our loyalty. Kumkumasa, Kumkumasa, you shall free our country from terror. And your blessing shall be like the stars above. The Most High God shall be your guide.